So the first question is, how do you start as a young entrepreneur?
You want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. I think, how do you start as a young entrepreneur? I think that first you got to identify what you want to do, right? And a lot of people struggle with figuring out what they want to do with their life, right? And, you know, sometimes it'll pop up for you right in front of your face. Okay, this is cool. This is something I want to chase after. Or sometimes you'll feel completely lost in life and you just don't know what you want to do. And the answer to both those is putting yourself out there, looking, searching for what you want. So if you don't know what you want to do, look up a bunch of different possible businesses you could get into, right? Start there. If you do know what business, just start with that one. But once you identify that business, then it's going to start with all this research that you can do online. And that's exactly what I did. And I started my real estate journey and my entrepreneurial career back in 2019. There was a lot of information online for free, but not as much as there is today. There's a tremendous amount online today. So it's even easier. And so I started by watching a lot of your YouTube videos on how to wholesale real estate and watching, you know, Jerry Norton's videos and just everybody's videos in the industry I was watching in order to learn the business. Now, one thing I do want to mention is because there's way more information out there today, you don't want that to hold you back. It can propel you forward, but it can also hold you back because when there's all this information out there, you feel like there's every answer out there. So what you're going to do is you're going to wait to take action till you find the perfect answer for every question. For me in 2019, I didn't have every answer online, so I wasn't searching for each one. So once I had enough information, I knew there wasn't probably going to be much more out there for me. So I was willing to go chase after it, take action right away. So that's one thing you want to be weary of. Don't let it hold you back. Have it propel you forward. And that's what I think.
Yeah, and to add to that, I think initially you have to be really curious, right, and open-minded. And somebody told me this when I was 18, and it stuck with me forever, but he's pretty blunt. And he said, you can't be broke and skeptical at the same time. Like, choose one or the other, right? So you have to be bold and really know, I mean, to add to what you said, it's like you have to know what you want as far as an outcome, right? Do you want, you know, to make a certain amount of revenue? Do you just want this to be a passion project? And whether it's real estate or solar or aviation or whatever type of business, mechanic work, whatever it is, right? It can be all of those, but what's really going to propel you forward is getting around the right rooms, right?
I agree.
At 18, I was in every single meetup that I could possibly attend. I mean, I saw you at all of them.
Yeah, for me, it started online, on the internet, YouTube, watching stuff. But instantly, my next step was get around people that are doing it in person, talk to people, network, and learn.
And I think that's where it starts, like being curious, searching online on YouTube. I mean, there's a bunch of great channels like this one that you can continuously learn from. Going to meetups, events, investing $100, $300 to go to an event. You know, I've been to events where the curriculum on stage wasn't the best, but I met the right people at it, and it ultimately led to something great, right? So just being curious and really knowing what you want. I mean, if you're super passionate about arts and crafts, like by all means pursue that. But if you're looking to reach a certain income level or just, you know, change your family's lives or provide financial freedom for you and yours, then you have to really think sales and business in the business world.
Yeah.
So.
And you have to be willing to invest some money into your knowledge and into yourself. And so like you said, you've spent money on going to an event and maybe the curriculum that they were teaching at the event, you didn't really get anything great from, or you already knew it.
Or it was too advanced for me at that point.
Too advanced, maybe. But you got one piece of information or one connection. And guys, as long as you get one thing, that's an ROI on whatever dollars you put in to learning, to investing in yourself, to going to an event. As long as you get one thing out of it, that's an ROI that could change everything for you. So keep that in mind. Like, as long as you get one thing valuable, it was worth it. And we've even spent tens of thousands of dollars and have unfortunately, but also fortunately, only got a handful of important things out of it. But those were game changers for us.
Absolutely.
So
I have a real example. When I was 18, I did 12 deals my first year. On deal number 3, I had like $12,000 in the bank, right? And this guy out of Washington, D.C. called me to close me on his 2-day event, right? And he's like, it's going to be $5,000. He's like, this will change your life. And I'm like, okay, I have 12,000. I'm trying to budget. I have expenses every single month. So I paid it, right? I went to that event. I came back with like $2,500, right? And it was a leap of faith. And at that event, I learned how to cold call and skip trace in real estate, which ultimately now, I mean, I was way ahead of the game because now everybody does it and it still works. But what happened following that event, after I invested literally 80% of my net worth into it at that time, which was a lot, and I didn't have any parents to fall back to or other friends to loan me money. Like I was out in the real world at 18, 19 years old, right? Maybe like some of you guys are. And the next year, we closed 52 deals for $650,000.
Wow.
All from that one source.
It's crazy.
Right? So a $7K investment ended up, really generating and, building up on it.
And I have a similar experience with something like that too. Like I started on YouTube. Then I started going out networking a little bit, but then I invested money. I closed a deal for $30,000. I took $25,000 and I signed up for mentorship with you.
I remember.
And that was most of my money, right? At the time, I had done, that year, I did $120,000 in revenue.
Nice.
I think it was like 8 deals. But then I learned all that stuff from the mentorship. The next year, I did over 500,000. So I did almost 600,000 the next year. So it was day and night difference from getting the proper knowledge. And we're going to get into mentorships and all that a little bit later. But I want to go back to something you said as well. You said you can't be broke and skeptical at the same time. And I just want to touch on this. When you're young, you have to remember that you have free will to choose what you do any day of your life, right? Like we're living in a video game. You get to build up your character and you can achieve whatever you want in this life. But we tend to forget that, or we get suppressed by societal norms or programming, because what happens is we're told, go to college, follow the normal route, right? But doing something amazing doesn't fit into societal norms.
It doesn't, no.
Building a great life, an amazing life, larger than average life doesn't fit into societal norms. So, you can't be broke or skeptical, right? You got to choose one. And so you're either going to stay in the same place, right?
And if you're young, it's best to do it when you're younger.
Yeah.
Less responsibilities. I am so grateful that, God blessed me with this path. And I hope that you guys choose to do the same.
Yeah. And so you have free will. Wake up the next day, decide this is what I want to chase after, research it, find people doing it, connect with them, and then chase after it with everything you got. Especially if you're young and you invest whatever you have and you fail, don't worry, you can start over and over again, right? Like most of the people that we're friends with and that we network with, they're 35, 40, 45, 50 years old, and they have made, a decent amount of success. And we're young and we've made it to around their level a lot earlier.
Faster, yeah.
So it's like, if they're this successful and they maybe started their career at 35, why can't we start at 20 and fail 10 times over? We'll still probably end up where they are if we are willing to keep trying. So just never give up.
Yeah, I agree. I'm like, when I started at 18, I'm like, okay, even if it takes me until 30 to become a millionaire or have my first million, it'll be worth it.
You're already going to be way ahead of the curve.
And it happened like in a few years, right? So it's something to really strive after, because it really is possible.
Yeah, and that's another thing, to point out there is, if you're just getting started, play the long game. Don't be so short-sighted. That's a lot of people have a lot of issues with that nowadays, just because we get everything instantly in this world, in this digital world. Like, guys, success takes time. Don't rush it. And if you're starting now, you're already ahead of the curve. So feel good and feel blessed about that.